I can promise you guys that you would not expect the end of this case. Like, it also blew my mind. Like, I was like, how, what, why? So like, I just can't wait to tell you the story, honestly. So like, let's get straight into the video. But before I do so, you guys, my Telegram link is going to be in the description, so you could join there and, you know, talk to me. Basically, if you just want to check up on me and know how I'm doing, you know, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you wouldn't want to do that, but I'm talking about, like, you know, suggesting cases to me, your opinions. You know, I would like that in the comment section. Actually, I would love you guys to give me your opinions on the cases you would like to listen to, what types that you like. You know, do you prefer family stories? Do you prefer murder? You know, what exactly do you like, or what case do you want to suggest to me, to, you know, for me to do? Any case, like, you know, just anything. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. Today we're going to be talking about a very popular, global, wildly known case that left everybody in literal shock. We're going to be talking about the Lawson family Christmas massacre. So the head of this family was called Charlie. He was born in 1866. He was living in North Carolina, where he met his wife. So they got married in 1911 and started a family. They had 8 children, but one of them died of pneumonia. So basically leaving to 7, obviously. So the children were Mary Lou, who was 4 months old. She was the youngest. 2-year-old Raymond, 4-year-old James, 7-year-old Marble, 12-year-old Carrie, 16-year-old Arthur, and 17-year-old Marie. So Charlie had family that would help him to, you know, watch his children, because most of the times him and his wife would go on to find work to bring money home. You know, he was always working his ass off, and he had plans like moving to Germanton in North Carolina to grow his own tobacco farm. So, you know, while he was working, him and his immediate 2 siblings decided that they were going to actually move there to, you know, to North Carolina, and they're going to start trying to, you know, work their way up to build like a, you know, a better tobacco farm. So this was the vision that he had for himself and his family. So he also had his own siblings, you know, 2 of his siblings that were male, and he convinced them into, you know, moving to North Carolina and, you know, growing this tobacco farm, and, you know, how much money was going to make them. So, you know, the guys were like, yeah, hella sure, like, let's do this. So when they moved to Germanton, he took his family along. That's his 8 children and his wife, and, you know, they all moved to Germanton, North Carolina. So when they got there, obviously you need money to start doing your whole business plan. So they became sharecroppers. If you don't know what a sharecropper is, that's basically using someone's land for your produce, you know, like, but you pay them, what you pay them is like part of your crops or a percentage of your crops as rent, you know. So that was basically what they were doing to live by. Up until 1927, he saved up money from, you know, doing the sharecropping, and he decided to move to Brook Cove in the same Germanton to build a family home. And, you know, he moved his family to Brook Cove, and, you know, it was like really beautiful. You know, there was space in the house, they were renovating, you know, the family was like really living by it, especially because everybody around the neighborhood loved them. You know, the kids would help the neighbors to do things like probably like weed out some crops also. You know, everybody just absolutely loved them. And Charlie would wake up every morning to check on the farm. So after they moved, they were going to be spending their first Christmas in Brook Cove. So, you know, Charlie, which is like the father, obviously, he decided to surprise his family by giving them a shopping spree, and also, you know, shopping for them. You know, they were really excited. Like, you know, obviously they've come from a very downside of the world where they had no money. They were basically poor, and now they are living like average good lives where they are eating well, 3 square meals, they are shopping, you know, and they are now going to possibly be taking a family photo. And in those days, in the 90s, taking like a portrait picture, like a framed portrait picture or a painting, was a huge deal. It was only for the rich, but, you know, it was seen that he had saved enough money and now they were living on the lavish side. So, you know, he just wanted to splurge on his family for the Christmas. So on the 25th of December, Christmas Day of 1929, you know, everybody in the household woke up, you know, being extremely happy. So Marie woke up on Christmas morning and she decided that she wanted to bake a cake for the family and, cook food to get the Christmas spirit in cheer. And Marie is the first child, the 17-year-old girl. And, she was really excited. So she and her mom basically went into the kitchen early in the morning to basically start cooking. While Charlie and the elder son, Arthur, who was 16 years old at the time, went into the bush. I don't know why I just called it bush. Oh my God, why did I call it bush? When Charlie and the eldest son, Arthur, went hunting, for Christmas, they wanted to get some meat. And, so when they went hunting, they ran out of ammunition. So which is basically why he had to send Arthur into the town to go and get some more shots, like bullets for the gun. So in the process, he was basically maybe tired of waiting for Arthur, or couldn't wait for Arthur to come back from the city side to bring the bullets. So he just went back home to, probably have some food and whatever. Carrie and Mabel decided to go and visit their uncle and aunt around the neighborhood because, I said that Charlie came with his siblings to this particular town in North Carolina, Germanton, to, build up on the tobacco dream. So they decided to wish their aunt and uncle a very Merry Christmas when the worst thing that you could have ever imagined happened. I said Charlie was hunting with his firstborn son, Arthur. Charlie, on his way back home, hid in the tobacco farm around his home area. Then when Carrie and Mabel obviously were going to their aunt and uncle's house to wish them a Merry Christmas, Charlie brought out a bullet, loaded his gun that he went to use with his firstborn son, Arthur, for hunting, and he shot his two children to the ground. Immediately he did this, he dragged their body back to the tobacco farm and he placed rocks under their heads as pillows while their blood literally just drained from their body. So he was in the tobacco farm and obviously none of his family members knew what was going on. So he reloaded the gun inside the tobacco farm so that when he goes out or looks like he wants to enter the house, they suspect nothing. Because if they see that he's reloading the gun in front of them, they are going to kind of wonder what's he doing, why is he doing this? So by the time he walked near his house, he saw his wife cooking through the window of his house and he just shot her to death. Marie, the first-born girl, was basically curling her hair outside the house getting ready for Christmas, where he shot her too. 4-year-old Raymond and James saw what was going on, obviously, because they were inside the house. They were still little babies, so they obviously couldn't understand what was going on because they were just seeing that their father just shot their elder sister, because they did not even see when he shot their mom. They tried running behind the oven to seek protection from the oven in some kind of way, but their father saw them, removed the oven from where they were and shot both of them. Mary Lou, the 4-month-old baby, was in her crib, obviously probably hearing the noise, but being too young to even understand what happened. Charlie just went to her crib and he didn't shoot her, but he strangled her to death. After Charlie had done all this, he just ran straight into the woods. That's heading to the direction of where he and his elder son had their whole hunting facade this morning. And at first I was thinking that he was heading there so that he can go and finally kill his son, but he just went there and nobody heard or saw him again. This had happened 2, 3, 4 hours before Charlie's brother decided to show up at the house. It's Christmas, and wanted to ask why Carrie and Mabel didn't show up, for Christmas, because, over the years, they were the two that would always come by to wish him a Merry Christmas. So he came by, just trying to also share this Christmas spirit, when he just opened the door and saw Marie on the floor. And he was confused, trying to look for how he was probably going to seek help. He went back in to check if there were any survivors, but he saw nobody. All he saw was the rest of his family members shot and dead, including the 4-month-old baby. But after all this, he noticed that there were 3 children missing, Mabel, Carrie, and also, he was having hope that maybe they weren't around when whatever or whoever did this did what they did. So he began searching for them, and he immediately went to call the sheriff, and the sheriff came, and the police, and it was like a whole ruckus. A lot of people, neighbors, were coming by to try to find out what happened. You know, it was like a very big case. The whole story spread across the city, spread across towns, spread across countries. You know, it was a really huge deal because this was something that they had never like seen before. Like, it was so confusing. They did not know what happened, and they were also looking for Charlie, because at this moment they did not know that it was Charlie that did all this. So when other hunters around the area and, you know, the sheriff came with the police, you know, it was like a really huge deal. They were searching the house for any survivors. They didn't find any. And the uncle also made it clear to the police that they were looking for three more children. But in the process of searching everywhere, they didn't find any noise, because they at first thought that maybe the killer could still be in the house because the wounds were still fresh. And they ended up going to the tobacco farm after they saw like blood, like literally dripping out from the barn. They opened it and saw Carrie and Mabel. So that's leaving only one child left. It was a very sad scene to see, because, you know, the police brought the bodies out to the compound and laid them on the floor. You know, it was like so sad. They were still looking for Arthur, and Arthur came by hours later, because according to what happened or what he said he couldn't find bullets for a very, very long time. So some people speculate that the reason why Charlie didn't want Arthur around was because Arthur was really tall and, you know, quite muscular for his age, 16, and he could have possibly been the only one to stop him from doing what he did. So now that they found Arthur, they were basically looking for Charlie, thinking that probably Charlie was somewhere out in the city too or something. But later, hours later, they heard a gunshot in the woods. And by the time they went there to try to find out where the gunshot was from, because, you know, it was quite known that nobody should be hunting right now because they were trying to find a killer. They go out to the woods, and near a dogwood tree, they see Charlie there, and he had committed suicide. And he had two notes in his pocket which said, "No one to blame but," then another one that said, "Trouble can cause." And it's just like two separate incomplete sentences which kind of make no sense. But I feel like the notes were basically him trying to confess that there was no one to blame but him, you know, and trouble can cause, like, what he had done or something that he had done had caused trouble that he cannot come out of. That is what I actually reason that those two letters to be, honestly. But, you know, whatever you think is whatever you think. I'm just speculating. That was just the first thing that came to my head. So apparently he had also made a lot of footsteps around that dogwood tree. So basically meaning that before he even offed himself, he was pacing around the tree, you know, probably going through it, probably thinking, you know, probably, I don't know, you know, he maybe, I don't know, like the thought of what he did probably came to him, or he was speculating on if he should kill himself or not. You know, like, a lot of people don't understand why there were just so many footsteps around that tree, but that was what we see to be. So the remains of all the bodies were transported to a funeral home or shelter called the Yelton Funeral Home, and that was where the bodies were kept for the burial day. No autopsy were performed on the bodies because, I mean, it was quite obvious what happened, but they were trying to know if there was a motive to why Charlie did this. You know, was he going through something? Did he fight with someone in the family? You know, like, even if you fought with someone in your family, like, does it really result to this? So some people also said that while he was working, like, you know, the other people that he was working with in his tobacco farm sometimes, and the old place that he was working with where he was a farmer, they said that he had a head injury. So probably the head injury resulted to him becoming like psycho. But when the police took a piece of his brain for testing, they actually found that his brain was underdeveloped, but they did not find anything that would cause him to spiral out that way, for him to have actually killed his family. His brain was just underdeveloped, so meaning that maybe he was just not that smart, but it's not like in a dangerous way. So the case caused an uproar throughout the town, throughout the world. Actually, it was on New York Times, it was everywhere. You know, like, it was something that you cannot escape listening to. Like, it was just such a huge deal. And in 1927, there was a funeral, and over 5,000 people showed up. And even after the funeral, people still were coming to the house of where these murders happened, you know, to see the crime scene. You know, it was like a really like shocking thing for everybody. This would go down in history, obviously. And it was also seen that, like, they buried the family in the Christmas clothes that they bought before they died. That's the last good, happy memories that they had because Charlie took them shopping. And, you know, it was just a really sad case, honestly, and nobody should ever experience that again. Like that's like, ugh. Charlie's brother actually turned it into a business where, since people wanted to come to the house to look at the crime scene, he would charge them 25 cents. You know, he would also sell things in the house like the family portraits, the chairs, even the cake that Marie made on the day of the Christmas, you know, to share with the family. Like, he was really selling it and making it big, you know, he was making a lot of money. But Charlie stopped along the line when he found out that people were like overdoing it by signing their names on the walls of the house. You know, even the cake that he sold, he didn't sell all of the cake, he sold part of the cake. And, you know, people will be taking out the raisins from the cake and stealing them, and, you know, stealing some little things inside the house. And, you know, he actually said that the reason why he was selling all of these things, or even like doing this whole 25 cents to come in and out, was in benefit of Arthur, that he was saving the money so that he can give it to Arthur, even though family members said that they didn't receive any money from him and he was just scamming the public and he did not help Arthur out. So I have no idea how, if that's just gossip, you know, we don't really know any information about that. People, especially people that knew Charlie, did not believe that Charlie could do this. Like, they thought that, you know, what happened, was it a mental disorder? You know, like, why did he leave Arthur out? Was it because he felt like Arthur could be the only one to stop him? Or did he believe that he loved Arthur more because he spent a lot of time with Arthur hunting in the past? So he wanted to save Arthur, you know, like, what was the reason? Like, nobody could put two and two together. So there were lots of speculations, especially an uproar in the case in 1990 when a book came out called White Christmas, Bloody Christmas by Jameson Knight. So there was a different theory in that book that nobody had ever heard of, where the book explained that the reason why he did this was because he had impregnated his 17-year-old daughter and couldn't handle it. And, you know, it was just like a different theory. And, you know, people were like wondering, why would you say something like that? You're just looking for a way for you to sell out or something like that. But what the book actually implied was that there was a caller during that time, like, you know how radios were big that time, that said that when he went for the auction thing, selling of properties of the house, and, you know, just paying the 25 cents fee to enter and look at the place like they were going for tourism, the person that was speaking actually said that the reason why he did this was because he had impregnated his 17-year-old daughter. And now that it's 1990, the person that got this information was way back in 1927. So it was like a really old man, you know, or old woman, you know, that got this information from. So we don't know if they got that information from the uncle himself, or if it was just another person that was touring and working for the uncle. You know, we really don't know where this person got this information from, but it seemed to like have been true. And some people that had also attended the funeral back in 1927 also said that they overheard the cousins of the children, but they didn't know who she was impregnated by. There was another book that came out later on, not too long after the first book I just spoke about came out, and the book entailed that Marie had actually confided in one of her friends that she was pregnant with her dad's daughter, and her mom and dad knew about it. So basically implying that they were in an incestuous relationship. And this information came from Marie's friend directly, as she was old, and, you know, it was just very shocking for the public to know this and hear about this, you know, like, yeah. Arthur, which was the only surviving member of the Lawson family, died at the age of 32 in an accident. Well, a car accident. There was a construction on that road and he lost control, or, you know, probably didn't see a turning, and, you know, his car hit another car or a truck, and that was how he died. Some people still these days still say that they see the Lawsons, especially Charlie, on Christmas Day around the Germanton or North Carolina. So that's obviously like a rumor, except some people do still see it. Like, I mean, you know, I really don't know. Like, it was such a huge case that even till now, there's like still a museum of where their bodies were embalmed, you know, just where they were first brought, some blood droplets, a jug that they used, you know, still like a museum of what happened and transpired and the story that transpired that day. And that will be the end of this case. So guys, thank you so much for listening to the end. I hope to see you next time. Bye.